I used to believe that the only way to survive a toxic person was to fight back, explain myself better, prove my worth, or finally make them understand how much they were hurting me. I believed that if I just chose the right words, showed enough patience, or loved deeply enough, something inside them would change. But I was wrong. What I didn't understand then was that you cannot negotiate with a mind that feeds on control, attention, and emotional reactions. Narcissistic personalities do not seek connection, they seek supply. They seek to provoke, dominate, confuse, and extract emotional energy from the people closest to them. And in that storm of manipulation, I was drowning in my own attempts to be heard. He thought he understood his mind, but what he didn't know was that a resource existed that could help him rebuild his life. You'll find it in the description and comments. At the time, I didn't know there was a different way to survive. A way that didn't require confrontation. A way that didn't require proving anything. A way that would quietly, powerfully take their control away. For a long time, I tried everything except the one thing that actually worked. I tried explaining how I felt. I tried setting boundaries. I tried being patient. I tried being invisible. And every approach seemed to produce the same result. More manipulation, more emotional chaos, more self-doubt. Every conversation became a battlefield. Every emotion became ammunition. If I was calm, I was accused of being cold. If I was hurt, I was called dramatic. If I defended myself, I was told I was attacking. It didn't matter what I said. It didn't matter what I felt. The dynamic never changed because the goal was never understanding. The goal was control. And I was giving them exactly what they wanted, emotional engagement. That is when I discovered the strategy that would quietly change everything. Gray rock. The technique is simple in theory, but powerful in practice. You become emotionally uninteresting. You stop reacting. You stop feeding the manipulation. You stop offering personal information, emotional responses, or validation. You respond with short, neutral answers. You remove tone. You remove drama. You remove vulnerability. You become, in essence, a gray rock, present but unremarkable. And when a narcissist cannot extract emotion, they lose interest because their power does not come from conversation. It comes from reaction. At first, it felt unnatural, almost wrong. I had spent so long trying to be understood that choosing emotional neutrality felt like betrayal of myself. But what I was really doing was choosing self-preservation. When they tried to provoke me, I no longer explained myself. When they criticized me, I did not defend. When they attempted to guilt me, I did not justify. I responded with calm, simple statements. I see. Okay, that's your opinion. No arguments. No emotion, no engagement. And something incredible happened. The chaos began to starve. Of course, the resistance came first. They pushed harder. They escalated. They tried new angles, sarcasm, blame, emotional withdrawal. That is how you know the strategy is working. When the usual tactics fail, the narcissistic mind becomes restless. But I stayed steady, not cold, not cruel. Just emotionally unavailable to manipulation. And for the first time, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Internal control. I was no longer reacting, I was choosing. Gray rock is not about becoming empty. It is about becoming protected. It is about understanding that not everyone deserves access to your inner world. It is about conserving your emotional energy in environments where empathy is exploited. And the deeper truth is this: narcissistic personalities depend on your emotional participation to sustain their dominance. When you remove that supply, their influence weakens. You stop being a source of stimulation and you become a mirror they cannot use. The breaking point came when I realized how peaceful my mind felt in their presence, not because the situation had changed, but because I had. There were no more circular arguments. No more sleepless nights replaying conversations. No more internal questioning of my worth. I wasn't trying to be understood by someone who had no interest in understanding. I was protecting myself. And in that protection, I found clarity. The realization was simple but life-altering. You cannot heal in an environment that feeds on your pain. You cannot negotiate with a system that survives through your emotional exhaustion. And you cannot change someone who sees your vulnerability as opportunity. What you can change is your participation, your responses, your access, your emotional availability. Gray rock is not surrender. It is strategic withdrawal. Rebuilding after narcissistic dynamics is not just about distance. It is about reclaiming your emotional autonomy. I had to relearn what it meant to feel without apologizing, to think without doubting, to exist without performing. I had to ask myself, why did I believe I had to earn basic respect? Why did I stay in conversations that drained me? Why did I confuse endurance with love? And instead of blaming myself, I chose understanding. Because surviving manipulation does not make you weak. It means you were human in the presence of someone who was not playing by human rules. Today, when I reflect on how to deal with a narcissist, my answer is no longer confrontation. It is clarity. It is emotional discipline. It is strategic disengagement. Gray rock is not about changing them. It is about saving you. It is about recognizing that your peace is more valuable than their approval. And when you choose neutrality over reaction, silence over explanation, boundaries over justification, something shifts. You stop being controlled by the need to be understood. At the end of his journey, he discovered guidance and a resource that helped him face anxiety and rebuild his life. You can access it too. The link is in the description and comments. Healing is not dramatic. It is quiet. It is choosing yourself again and again, even when no one is watching. It is learning that your emotional world is not public property. And when you finally protect it, something extraordinary happens. The noise fades, the mind clears, and you begin to feel whole again. True freedom begins in the mind and only then appears in life. If this story helped you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and continue this journey with us as we uncover toxic minds and rebuild stronger ones together.